So in the first two videos I fixed a couple of things on the body that weren't on the movie car to resemble the movie car a bit more, as I bought the wrong kit and it had a couple of spots that weren't supposed to be there. I also fitted the body kit that was supplied by USCP and then moved on to painting it in the silver base coat. In the video after that I started masking it off entirely and starting on the graphics for on the side, the hood, and all the other details around it. Once that was done, I could move on to this stage, and that is cutting out a couple of the decals for some of the logos on the hood, on the rear bumper, and also on the front bumper. So the decals were supplied again by USCP in the trans kit for the R34 Too Fast Too Furious model, and then you can also buy these decals separately from Decal Shop in Russia to make your own without having to buy the body kit, but that is totally up to you. So the decals that I will be using need to be cut out closely along the edges, as these are custom-made decals in a low production environment and not as high quality as the ones you are used to in the kits you buy off of the shelf. So cut around it carefully to make sure that you don't have any excess material, and then you can start putting them into some water just like regular decals and start fixing them in place. I'm going to be using some decal setting solutions just to gently soften the decals and form them to the piece underneath. After placing and forming the final decal on the hood, I let it sit and dry for a couple of hours before I moved on to clear coating. Now in this clear coat stage, I'm firstly going to blow off any of the dust that might have landed on the body, as it has been a couple of days in between painting, decaling, and now of course going over to the clear coat, so it has accumulated a couple of spots of dust here and there. So I'm just going over it thoroughly, making sure that all of them, or at least most of them, are off, and I can move on to have a nice shiny clear coat without too many dust spots on it. With most of the dust that I could find on the body now removed, I moved on to clear coat. The clear coat was mixed up according to the specifications by ZEROPAINTS, and then I moved on to those hard to reach, easy to forget spots first, as I always do. Once all those spots were misted with a first light coat, I moved on to coating all of the decals with a light mist coat too, in order to prepare them for the thicker coats to go on top of it. It's always a good idea to just gently mist a light coat of clear onto the decals first before you go on with the heavy, thicker coats, so that they can get used to the clear coat a bit and not just be fully covered. I'm not sure what the science is behind it, but it seems to work if you mist it on first and not just blow over it with a super thick coat straight away. While I was doing that to the decals, I also went over all of the stripes and the graphics that I painted on the sides, just to blend in those edges and give it a bit of an extra layer that will blend in with the following coats of clear nicely and give it the smoothest possible finish without having to sand it. That is now all done, and I'm just going to let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes before moving on to clear coating it again, going over the decals with a thicker coat and taking the rest of the body with it at the same time, for basically the first real coat of clear. So the first real coat of clear is now on and the entire body is covered. I let it sit for the usual 5 minutes in between and then moved on to the second coat of clear. Now in this second coat of clear I added a little bit of extra thinners to the mixture just to make the clear a bit thinner and flow out a lot better. This is done because I noticed on the first coat that the clear is a bit thick. It's not really a bad thing as it has a high solid of clear in it, which is good for the eventual finish, and in the second coat with a bit more thinners, it helps out flow the first coat and the second coat to get it nice and smooth. So the second coat is applied gently on the rest of the body, making sure that everything is without as much orange peel as possible and has the smoothest finish I can achieve through the airbrush. After the coat was applied, I checked over the body once more to see if some spots needed a bit of extra clear, and the roof was one of them. So I added a quick mist of clear just to smoothen it out even more, and could then set it aside for a couple of days to cure before moving on to the next stage.